Hey friends, it's Simon Hurley and welcome to another video. Now today I am super excited because I'm going to be sharing how to use Heidi Swapp's new toner ink pad and kind of walk you guys through the steps as I learn about it as well. I saw this at Creativation and was so excited because now I can use any of my stamps in my collection to foil, which I think is super cool. And it might take a little bit of a learning curve, but you'll be alongside me as I kind of learn more about this ink pad and do all the steps. But I've watched a couple of videos and seen how it works and I'm ready to try it out. I'm super excited. And Heidi was really awesome to include some instructions for me too, so maybe I'll take a picture of these and insert them as well, so you guys can see and follow along with the instructions as well. Alright, so here are the three things you're going to need. You're going to need the toner ink bottle, and it comes with a little measuring cup, so you can kind of measure it into your ink pad. You're also going to need the ink pad, and what I found so interesting about this, and it's kind of a cool idea, is since the toner is going to dry in here, because it does harden after a while, which is fine, you're just going to need to do all of your stamping for those several projects at once so you can get the most use out of it. But what's cool about this is the foam kind of insert in here that goes along with this ink pad. You have two little kind of lips here and you could take them out, and then you can buy toner ink pad refills to refill your ink pad, and they just kind of clip into place here, and then you have another ink pad. So it makes it so you're not throwing away the whole plastic base, you're just getting rid of the foam pad itself, and this is a nice firm foam pad, which is cool. So let's get started, let's ink this up and get to our stamping. Okay, so let's open this toner ink up, and it says that the ink pad holds 15 milliliters, so I'm just gonna measure it out here and slowly pour. This could go very wrong, so I'm just going to do it kind of carefully. Measure that out, and we'll dump it onto our ink pad. So it just kind of sits on top, and kind of work it along here with this cup to kind of work it in. And it's slowly kind of seeping in. It's that foam, so it's not going to go in super fast, but look, it makes it into this nice little ink pad. And so that held 10. So let's go in with 5 more. There we go. So our toner ink pad is all filled. I'm going to close this to make sure it doesn't spill anywhere. Okay, so once you've filled it, it's kind of just a waiting game. You're going to want to wait about 5 minutes for the ink to kind of set into the ink pad. And it's going to not dry, but it's going to get a little bit tacky, and that's exactly what you want. You want it to be nice and sticky so the foil can stick to it. So we'll give it a couple minutes.
2 very boring minutes later.
Alright, so I'm going to first start off by trying to use my Stark White cardstock. Now I'm going to test with a couple different cardstocks in today's video if this doesn't work, because you kind of want a cardstock where the ink is going to sit on top, and I don't know if mine is going to do that. One thing I tried to do was lift up the ink pad and try stamping it on top. That's not going to work out great since this is a very sticky ink. So I would just recommend kind of putting your stamp onto it like this. That's going to give you the best application of the ink. So let's just try it out. I'm going to stamp down the "I'm so proud of you." Okay. Kind of ripped the cardstock just a little bit up there. Maybe I held it on there for too long. It is a sticky ink, so that is what I would expect. But I think the rest of it should foil normally, but I'm not going to really try with that. Let's try with a different kind of cardstock. So this is the cardstock that I always don't recommend for ink blending because it has a little bit of coating onto it, but I'm going to try it for this. It's straight up just ripping my cardstock. And then I'm going to try it one more time. I find that it doesn't rip as much. There we go. So that is it stamped. That's probably the best stamped result I've gotten so far. Now there is some little smudges here and there, but I just want to kind of test it out. Now for cleaning of my stamps, all I have been doing is I just go in right away and I spray it with a little bit of water and then I wipe it off. Just because this is going to dry on your stamp if you don't clean it off, and that's just going to be a fact. So if you don't clean it right away, it's not going to come off. I want to try something. I want to try doing a background stamp. So I'm going to use my school Scribbles background stamp. This is a red rubber stamp because I feel like this won't be as sticky as the clear photopolymer stamps. I'm going to just lift the ink pad out of the tray so I just have this plastic piece because I'm just going to ink it up like this So I want it out of that ink pad because it kind of falls out if I try inking it up like this in there. So this, I find, it looks like it's already inking up better. Right, so that's good. Maybe this is just a product that I end up using with rubber stamps because I think the concept of it is super cool, but it is quite difficult to use with some of the clear stamps. Okay, so that was pretty easy. I'm going in with my cardstock here. I'm just going to, again, give it good pressure like I always do. Kind of run my finger all along the whole thing. Don't want to wait too long though because it is still a sticky ink. Now that is cool. See, I think we're going to get a better stamped impression since this rubber stamp isn't nearly as sticky. So maybe this is just something that I'm going to use with rubber stamps, but I still think that it's super cool that I can turn my background into something that can be foiled. Let me soak this one, and now this one has deeper grooves, so I'm going to go in with this Rub It Scrub It from Ranger, and I'm just going to clean out any of that ink from there. Deco foil, they create some really cool ones. And this kind of shattered glass rainbow is super cool, and I thought it would look great with this scribble background. So I'm just going to go in here, lay that out, and then we'll go in and cut it down. All right, so I'm just going to place the rainbow foil right on top of my background, and then I'll place it into the carrier sheet, and we are ready to go. I'm going to bring it in and put it right into the Minc. And it's going to foil, and let's see how this comes out. I'm really excited for this one. It seemed to have stamped really well. All right, now it's time for the reveal. Okay, that one turned out really well. Wow, so it looks like every piece got foiled. This one definitely stamped a lot better. So the rubber stamps definitely do a better job since they're not nearly as sticky already. Wow, that's just cool. And it's cool to see my designs from my stamps, and now taking any stamp that you guys have in your stash and turning it into this cool foil design. And you could totally use this piece too and put it on a sheet of toner and then get kind of the reverse, which I think is awesome. All right, so I love how that background turned out. So now I'm gonna do it with the flower garden background. I think that that's super cool that we can stamp a background with this in red rubber, and really I had no issues with it. Whereas the other ones were taking quite some time. So let's do another one of these. Now this one has more solid space on it, so that might be something that we have to take into account. Maybe it won't stamp as well, but we're going to give it a try. The weird part is I find the less pressure that I put, the more ink actually comes out of the stamp. Okay, so that one didn't stamp too awful. It kind of, like I kind of suggested, it would give a little bit of a spotty look since it was super solid, but I don't mind it. I think it looks kind of cool. All right, now for this flower background, it is a little bit spottier, but let's see how it turns out. I've grabbed a piece of Heidi's kind of blue chrome, and I'm going to put it into the carrier sheet here. All right, now for the big reveal with this one, I'm going to kind of peel it off. All right, I love this one too, but just as expected, anywhere where there was kind of whiter spots, like almost down to the cardstock, it definitely didn't foil, but I don't really mind that. It was a very solid stamp, so I don't really blame it on the ink pad there, but look at that awesome foiling. And then, of course, again, you could use this background too. Let's do one more attempt with my clear photopolymer stamps. I'm gonna do the Supermom stamp set. But we're going to do some more thin-lined images because I think that that will work a little bit better. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the rubber stamp and just pick it up and ink it up this way because I can kind of see what I'm inking a little bit better. So let's kind of stamp that down. So that definitely stamped. Then I'm going to try out the wow. So I'm just inking that up and I'll stamp it down above it. Again, giving good pressure, but not keeping it on there for too long. So this might be the best that we've done so far. I think the smaller images do help. All right, so for this last background, I hope this one works out because I'm really excited to foil some of the thinner lined images from my line. So I'm going to put a piece of foil over top of that, put it into the carrier sheet here, and let's see how this one does. Wow, okay, I'm kind of surprised. This one had a much thinner layer of it on there, so I wasn't really expecting a ton, but it definitely foiled pretty much the whole thing. I think it's missing just a tiny bit right there, but that is kind of really cool. So to know that you can do thinner lined images is really awesome. You just have to give it a little bit of pressure and lift up pretty quickly. Alright, we definitely had success with the background stamps and some of the more fine line images, but I'm kind of determined to get that I'm proud of you to stamp well. So let's turn that back down to my work surface. I have one more idea that we're going to test out here. So what I'm going to do is take the I'm proud of you sentiment again, but this time we're using the trusty old Misty stamping tool. And I think this is going to do really well for us. Alright, so I'm just going to ink this up. And the cool part about this is I don't need to add as much pressure right away, and it might not stamp perfect the first time, but I can always go in the second time and try stamping it again. So let's see if this works. I hope it's not too sticky the second time. See, this is kind of building it up. So maybe you just need to use your Misty stamping tool to do this. And that'll kind of help you if you're doing a more solid image and you want to make sure that it stamps and that you're not wasting a bunch of cardstock. This could be a really good way to go. Wow. I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier because, you know, it is a little bit difficult anyway because you're using an ink pad and it's not just a straight up printer printing this out. And so you're always going to have little errors with an ink pad. But this makes it quite easy to just go in and make sure that almost everything is stamped out. Okay, so I think that's about as good as we're going to get. That was about 3 stampings, and it's much more solid than anything else that I've stamped today. All right, that looks pretty promising. Let's do the reveal. Wow, okay. That worked so much better. So I think one of the secrets is if you're using a more solid image and a photopolymer stamp, try doing it in your Misty stamping tool. That's going to just make sure that it stamps several times. You don't have to keep it on there for too long so it's not going to rip your cardstock. And then you can do several layers of the ink and really get a bunch of toner built up so you get that really beautiful foiled effect. Alright, to finish off this card, I'm going to take some of the Prom Queen ink. I'm going to spray that down just a little bit there, and then I'm just going to kind of dip this into there. So that way I have that cool foiled effect with a little bit of a watercolor on top, which I think is kind of cool. It makes it a little bit more messy, but it looks kind of cool in the end. Okay, so adding that watercolor was kind of a cool touch in the background, and I love that against the gold foil. When you tilt it, it just makes that fun Supermom image just pop off the card. Alright, so I am absolutely in love with these projects that we made today. Using foil and some of my stamps and background stamps and things like that, we definitely learned a lot as we did it, but I think it's going to make it easier the second and third time that I use this ink pad to really get it out and just have fun, now that I know some things that really help to make it easier to stamp. Now I did struggle a little bit at the beginning with this ink pad, and that was as expected. I did definitely expect that. Heidi even said that at the trade show. They are making it very known, but hopefully with education and things like that and videos like this, you guys can kind of not struggle with it as much when you get it home. It is a little bit more of a finicky thing, right? You have to pour it. It is a little bit of a stickier ink than you might be used to, but I think in the end, it creates some really cool stuff, and the fact that you're able to use your stamps and foil them is a really cool idea. So like I showed in the video, things like the Misty stamping tool make it a lot easier to build up the toner on your sheet, and also rubber stamps are optimal, but you definitely can still use the photopolymer stamps, but just the nature of those stamps are already sticky, and adding the toner sticky ink pad on top can kind of make your cardstock rip if you're not careful. Alright, let's chat down below in the comments. Let me know if this is something that you guys might be interested in. It definitely makes your stamps a little bit more versatile, having them be able to be foiled, which I think is a cool finishing touch on your card. Be sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and be sure to click that subscribe button to never miss another card making and crafting video like this one from me. Alright guys, I'll see you soon. Bye!